why does the industry and world fight against Kanye West so hard? That's what I'm going to be talking about today, guys, because, you know, as I've been delving more and more into Kanye West, just thinking about what's been going on and looking into the research and stuff that I've been doing, I just noticed that ever since he started his career, he's had a strong level of resistance, not just from the entertainment industry, Hollywood, but also from the world in general. And I want to talk about this because I feel like I understand why that's the case. And I think one thing that people a big thing that people misunderstand about Kanye West is the fact that the reason he's very confident, or overly confident as a lot of people would say, is because he's had to fight this whole journey up until now, believing in himself when nobody else believed in him. And I think that's something, or when I say nobody else, a lot of the time maybe just his mum. And when I say believed in him, a lot of people believed in him, say, as a producer. Not so many people believed in him to be a rapper. A lot of people felt like he should just stay in the lane of producing, even though he wanted to be a rapper, and he had to really fight for that, but then when he did do it, he was very good at it, right? So I really feel like the foundation of his career, his relationship with the industry and with the world, is that he is always constantly experiencing a lot of resistance from people and kind of judgment, kind of wrongful assumption. And so he's used to having to fight against that. And I think that's one of the reasons why when people feel like he's somebody you can't talk to, you can't reason with, or that somebody that has mental issues, it's because I believe a lot of the time he's so used to people talking to him like he's crazy that it's not even like when even sometimes I think when people are trying to speak to him and they're just trying to maybe give him helpful criticism, they don't know the right way to like explain to him that that's what they're trying to do. And because he's had to go against that so much, and him going against it has actually brought him success. That's also why he's reluctant to do that. And this is what I think people don't realize. And it's one of these things that, like, the more I learn about Kanye West, I'm not going to lie, the more that I kind of hate this world that we live in. Because it's like the same person that, people will be so supportive of. People will download his albums, people will wear his shoes, people will be blah 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 singing his music, say he's one of the goats or whatever, right? Are the same people who then want to say, oh, but he does take it a bit too far with this and a bit too far. And I'm like, this is the same brain of the same person. So how can we, there has to be another reason why he's coming across in a certain way. And I know he's been on medication and stuff, and I don't know, I'm not going to get into my opinions when it comes to medications and illnesses and stuff. I'm not going to get into that today. But what I will say is that I think a lot of what Kanye goes through, and I've noticed this with a lot of people, I've experienced this myself, because as I was talking about one of you guys in the comments, I feel like the Kanye whisperer, right? I feel like I could be the Kanye whisperer. And I've spoken with a lot of people in life who get misunderstood. And when I speak to them, I can reason with them. And I think it's because I try to listen to understand, and to hear from their perspective. Because what we have to recognize in life is we're always, and it's like a thing that I like to say, that we always are looking through our own goggles, right? We all have our own goggles. And our goggles are our personal perspective, right? And let me explain that a bit further. So our personal perspective is, and a lot of the time, our personal perspective is skewed based on our experiences. I.e., if you are, and I love this example, right? If me, with my own goggles, I'm in a relationship with somebody, and let's say in the past, if I have a relationship with somebody and they go somewhere and they don't tell me, let's say my last 3 exes, they all cheated on me, and that was how I found out, is that they were going somewhere and they didn't tell me, and then I discovered that it was because they were cheating, right? Let's say I get in a 4th relationship now, right? And I see a guy doing the same thing. Now, because of my goggles, my perspective, my skewed perspective, I might assume the same thing and react in the same way, when for all I know, actually this guy was doing this because he was going to like get my ring, and he was going to be like propose, right? And so I use this example to say that our goggles, the way our perspective a lot of the time works against us when we're trying to understand where people are coming from. And I think that's something that happens with Kanye West, partnered along with the fact that, he has that defensive mentality, because that's how he's succeeded. And this is the thing, it's almost like if you could look into his brain and see what is like the recipe for success. The recipe for success in his brain, I think in some ways, is like doing what you think is best regardless of what everybody else thinks, and going against what everybody else thinks, right? And so even for him to maybe tone that down enough to the level where he might need to, he would need people that understood that that's what he was going through and who could talk to him. And I think that's kind of where his mum played a big role, and why him losing his mum was such a big loss, because she was somebody who was very good at like, and you could see it from his documentary, where she was very good at like, you know, reaffirming that he was great, he was good at what he did, and what he knew what he was doing, but that he also needed to like improve in this area, and not forget this and not forget that. And I think that's what people don't understand. Now, shifting over to why I believe he's had this resistance, I believe that he's had this resistance all his life, and all, or at least all of his career life, because he was always a chosen one of God. That's what I believe. I believe that God always chose him. And this is the funny thing about things, spiritual things, right? And this is something I've been learning recently. We in the natural world, right, we are very ignorant of a lot of things. But in the spiritual world tends to know what's going on with people, and can see like what each other is doing. So even the evil, the dark side, can see what's going on in the light. They can see how God is preparing his people, or what he's doing with a certain person. And also, let's not forget that the spiritual world is eternal. So a lot of these spiritual beings, whether they be angels, demons, whatever, right, they have been around for a very long time. So they know how things work. They know who's related to who. They know who your ancestors are, and all this stuff, right? And so I really feel like with Kanye, what's happened is from the beginning, he almost like stunk of like light as far as the kingdom of darkness was concerned. And I'll tell you why I say this. First of all, when he wanted to be in Rockefeller, right, it was like they really resisted that. And then they kind of almost allowed him in, not really because they really wanted to support him, because they're actually trying to do the opposite, but more as like a keep your friends close, enemies closer kind of vibe of, okay, we'll just keep him in. He's a great producer. We'll use him as a producer, but we won't make him an artist. And like looking back at it now with all the information I have, it's almost like I don't even feel like it was just as far as the Rockefeller was concerned. I don't feel like the reason they did that is because they didn't see him as a rapper. I think a lot of other people didn't see him as a rapper. I think the reason he didn't do that, some of them didn't do that, is because they could sense the light inside of him. And I really feel like since even then, Rockefeller was already deep in the dark side. That's just my perspective, okay? Just throwing that out there. So I think that's why he was getting resistance, because, you know, dark doesn't like the light at all. It makes the darkness uncomfortable, right? Dark does not want the light to be around. Dark wants dark, right? And that's why I think Kanye, oh, okay. Sorry about that. That's why I think Kanye, that's why I think it was difficult for Kanye in that regard. And I think as he kept going on, because let's not forget, guys, I know it seems like for a lot of people, I think it seems like the entertainment industry just got very evil like over the last 10 years, right? But let me tell you, your girl's been doing research, and this stuff goes back 50 plus, 60, 80, 90 plus years. I was even researching Walt Disney, guys. And let me know if you want me to talk about Walt Disney. But I was researching him and where all this Disney stuff came from and what he's connected up with. And it's crazy, guys. Let's just say that it's crazy where a lot of this evil stuff comes from. It's deep, right? So don't be surprised to find out that a lot of these people, a lot of these things, the evil that was there, it was birthed very early. And where a lot of the things we're just seeing things for what they are now, because things have just gotten so far now that it's actually visible. And also now, you know, Satan feels so comfortable that he's just, you know, kind of, here I am these days. Anyway, so with Kanye, as he's been going through his career, I feel that, you know, and it's like one thing he said, and he said it a number of times, is that he will always say the truth, and he will always say his truth, right? And that partnered along with the fact that he's had to get used to people always being resistant to him and always being on the defensive, is a recipe for problems for the entertainment industry. And I'll tell you why. Because a lot of the entertainment industry lies and hides things and keeps things secret. Now, when they support you and you don't have to be on the defensive like him, it makes a lot more sense for you to go along and just say whatever they want you to say. And some people are happy to do that. Some people are like, look, as long as I'm going to be famous, powerful and rich, I don't really care. I'll say whatever, I'll do whatever. And a lot of people in the industry today are like that, unfortunately. But with Kanye, he's not. So again, it's not favorable even for him to be around these people, because it's like he's gonna say what he's got to say. It's like the whole thing with, you know, the Taylor Swift what do you think call it thing, where Taylor Swift got the award, and then Britney, and then he steps up and he's like, I think Beyonce should have got the award, blah 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 blah. Now again, classic case of, I think Kanye genuinely, that was his perspective. Like, other people might have been thinking somebody else should have got the award. It's just that Kanye, based on his experience and with people, and being used to having to do something that people don't like, used to having to be on the defensive, didn't recognize that probably not the best way to go about it. You know. And then probably the backlash he got probably fueled him even more to say, okay, if I'm getting backlash, this is how I work, I'm probably doing a good thing. But I believe he was just saying his truth, you know. And that is threatening to the industry, because the industry because truth is a part of light. Goodness, justness, truthfulness, all of that is a part of the kingdom of light. That's good. That's godly stuff. Those are godly ways of being. The industry doesn't want that. The industry doesn't want that. Let me tell you why. Because if they got to be just, that means they've got to pay their artists right. That means they've got to give them the right amount of rights. That means they've got to explain to them what's in these terrible contracts that they give to them. That means they can't be just doing things to the fans that they don't understand, or involving them in things like Astroworld and stuff like that. You know, that means they've got to tell the truth and not lies and stuff, which they don't want to have to do any of that. So even just Kanye being that kind of person, right, was already going to cause him resistance from the industry. But then now with the world, why the world? Because let's remember this, right? So we've dealt with industry. As far as the world, let's think about it like this, right? We know that the world, a lot of institutions in the world, particularly a lot of the most powerful ones, love to lie. Check out my media playlist. You guys should really check that playlist out. I know I talk about it a lot. I made those videos very short so that if you wanted to power through them, you could. They're like 5 minutes each, literally, or the little bits and bobs. Check that out, because in there I break down which companies own which companies, and you'll see that there's like literally 5 different companies that basically own like all the companies. So you guys should go and check that anyway. And they all have a media company as well. Now again, the world, the media and stuff, they're not going to want to support somebody who says the truth that they can't control, because this is what they want. They want people they can control. People they can't control are not helpful to them, because then when they want to come out, especially if they're a person of power, especially if there's somebody that can afford to get through the doors of like the things that they do, like somebody like Kanye, who became rich enough and powerful enough that even if they wanted to say, oh, you're not allowed to come to the Met Gala because we're going to be doing sacrifices in the middle of the thing, which nobody will know, no normal person would know because they don't have the money to be here, but you'll know because you'll be here, you can afford to be here, then they're not going to want people like Kanye there. They're not going to want people to support Kanye, and they're certainly going to want to discredit him, which discreditation is actually a tactic that the media uses in order to stop you from listening to somebody that's telling the truth. And I talked about that there. So again, they're going to want to resist Kanye, because yes, they might like him, they might support him, he might be rich and powerful, but because he's going to do his own thing, and because he's not submitting to them, because this is the thing as well. This is why it does all go back to spiritual stuff at the end of the day, right? Because and this is why the Bible says you can't be a slave of 2 masters, right? And that it's only black and white. There's no gray area, right? Because as far as the kingdom of darkness is concerned, if they cannot control you, if you're not a part of them, even to them, you're part of the kingdom of light, because you're a threat to them. And that's why I always say that it's a spiritual battle. So for Kanye, you know, even before he was, you know, doing his Jesus stuff that he's doing now, right? And he had his little moment there where he thought of himself as God as well. You know, it happens. Right? And people have speculated that they feel like he's a narcissist. I get why people say that. I don't really believe that to be true personally. Yeah, so I feel like, you know, that's why the world isn't a fan of him. And that's why I feel like he's experienced so much resistance. Now, here's the thing. And this is where God comes into it. And this is why I talk about this. And this is why I believe it was very key for Kanye to turn to God. And I believe that, you know, you guys will hear me talk about how God always warns people and he gives them opportunities, and how eventually when you get to a certain level, you have to choose one side or the other. Because if you don't choose, even if you choose, you don't want to choose the kingdom of light, if you leave and you want to leave the kingdom of darkness cannot have you outside of their kingdom unless you're on their team. So they'll just destroy it, they'll just kill you, right? That's what happens. So I think him now choosing the kingdom of light and choosing to be in God's team, now God can protect him, and now he's become a problem for the kingdom of darkness, a big problem. And that's why you have all these scandals coming out about Kim Kardashian this, Pete Davidson that. They're making him look crazy. Anything he does is assumed to be that he's lost his mind. And don't get me wrong, guys, I said this before and I'll say it again. There are many things that he's done where I'm like, Kanye, I see where you're coming from. Maybe should have gone about it this way, right? But, you know, why are people so against him when he's trying to be a father? Why is that becoming an issue? It's because now he's a threat to Hollywood, and I actually think he is one of the he's one of the biggest threats right now to Hollywood, because truthfully, and this is why I believe he's smart, and I talked about this on my other channel, Kings and Queens. I talked about, you know, how I believe Christian people should actually learn from Kanye West, in the sense that he is not just exposing everything that he has, because if he does that, that wouldn't be very wise. You know, but he's doing what he's doing, and bit by bit, you know, he's doing what he can to kind of not, I don't want to say expose, but to speak about things that need to be spoken about. But yeah, so that's why I really believe that the entertainment industry, Hollywood, the world is so resistant of Kanye West, not just because of how he is and his history, but also because of the fact that he was always chosen. And I believe that the kingdom of darkness from then could see where he was going to be taken, his dedication to truth. It's kind of like the same way that I say to you guys that whatever our choices, right? When we make choices, we partner with a particular kingdom. When he chooses to be truthful, you're instantly partnering with the kingdom of light, the kingdom of God, and therefore you are showing your allegiance. That's why the Bible says, how can two walk together unless they're agreed? Because in order for you to walk in the kingdom of light, you have to be doing something of the kingdom of light. That's why you can't say that you're in the kingdom of light while you're doing things that are of the kingdom of darkness, and vice versa, right? So when the kingdom of darkness is seeing that, when they're seeing that he's not quick to do maybe some of the other stuff, although he did do some stuff, because I know he has been involved in stuff like and I'm sure he'll maybe he'll speak about that more one day, right? I think that it was clear that he was always going to end up on this side, because that's how it looks like to me. I feel like no matter what, he was always going to end up here eventually. And the funny thing is, it's also because people treated him just like Paul in the Bible, just like Jesus, which is resisting him, having an issue with him, persecuting him, despite the great work that he's actually doing. You know, the great things that he's brought up, because he brought up important things. Like, people were like, oh yeah, he went for president, which is a bit mad, and maybe it was a bit mad. But do you know what? Do you know something? I'll be honest with you. I'll be very honest. I would feel more comfortable with Kanye West as president right now than Joe. I'll say that. I will say that right now. And I'll tell you why. Because at least whatever he would be doing, right, he will be doing it for the sake of truth and for the sake of justice, and not the evil demonic things that's going on over there. And I know I've just gone political. I guess that's what we're doing now. But you guys get where I'm coming from. That yes, he might have needed some help, and this is why I want to speak more about Kanye, and I will continue to, because I think he's one of those people that, rather than just shunning him off and doing the whole, oh, they've got a mental problem, let's just pretend that they don't think, and then they're just nothing, which I hate that people do that. I hate that when somebody has a struggle of some sort, or like a mental issue, that we just write off everything about them. That's totally wrong, and I feel like that's demonic, and I think the kingdom of darkness does that on purpose, because that's the whole point of discrediting somebody, right? Rather than doing that, I think we should actually listen to what he has to say, because a lot of the time people who are treated as if they're crazy, they don't act as crazy when they feel like people are listening to them. And I didn't say agreeing, I said listening. So I think we should listen, learn, and recognize one thing that I think a lot of people don't acknowledge, right, about Kanye West. He's actually in that industry and has been in it at a high level. So those of us who are outside, rather than being quick to back up, you know, professional narcissists and Decepticons, the Kardashians, we should be more inclined to hear what he has to say, because the chances are is he's throwing out insights about the industry, about things that go on behind closed doors that we don't know about, that maybe nobody else is telling us, you know. And so let's not let things just discredit us, and let's not be, you know, asleep. We talk about being woke these days. Woke is the biggest scam. I'm awake, I'm not woke. Yeah, I'm awake. I'm not woke. I'll just say that right now, you know. Let's maybe I'm not saying listen to everything he says, but let's be quick to think for ourselves and hear for ourselves. Because I'll tell you something, guys, we're responsible for our own self, right? And let's not discredit what he has done And also, let's listen to what he has to say, because remember, he has been in that industry. And he, with the way the industry and the world is treating him, think about it. Who has more to gain in deceiving you? The Kardashians and all those people and the industry, or Kanye? I don't know. Not saying you should whatever. I'm just throwing some ideas out there. Just food for thought, like I like to say. Anyways, other than that, guys, I think I'll cut this video here. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section about all this Kanye stuff, okay? Let me know what you think. Let me know how you feel. Let me know your perspective. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you're feeling the vibe. I really appreciate that. And of course, like the video as well. Love to continue this dialogue with you guys. Love for you guys to throw in some ideas of specific areas of this Kanye stuff you want me to talk about. Like, I've got so many videos about him I've got written down that I want to do. But I like to make videos that you guys have like suggested or to do with things that we've actually spoken about. So yeah, let me know in the comment section. Other than that, God bless you all, and I'll see you in my next one. Goodbye.